Hello, Akari. Good to see you
Hello.
again.
Hi.
Hello. So, everyone, this is Akari Batsto, and I need her to introduce herself to make sure she gets in all the good, juicy facts about herself.
Yeah, because we all
We're
want
going
that.
right into it. Yes, we're going straight to it.
My name is Akari. I own what I call Akari, mind, body, and soul. I consider myself an emotional biohacker uh, because I love biohacking. I think it's my favorite thing. And so it helps me hit mind, body, and soul. Um, what else can I tell you? I am a quantum human design specialist. I kind of got kicked into that world, and regardless of how many times I say I'm not a human design reader, I'm not, I use it as a tool, I find myself 9 times out of 10 being a human design reader. So after a little bit of, grappling with that, I am a human design reader, but I I think I do it. I think I interpret it from a lens of the nervous system and how you can actually translate all of the nuances of the chart into a way that it helps you identify who you are and have never given yourself permission to be.
I love that. And you're the reason I actually even discovered human design for myself, right? Because we've known each other for years. I don't know how many years, but it's been years. And you started talking about when you were learning this stuff, you were saying, "Oh, and you're a projector." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I would look it up and go, "Oh, that is so me. Yes, you're right." And my daughter, "Oh, I said, she's what they, she's a manifester. That means this." And I was like, "Oh, that's totally what she sounds like. Yes, she is always angry." She,
Yeah.
and, and I was like, "Oh, wow, wow." So thank you, because that really was a pretty wild, we didn't take the same paths with it, but as far as using it professionally, but it has been something that has helped me when I throw it in with how I help people with marketing. So
Yeah.
it's a tool I use. I tell people I'm not a professional design, not even design reader, and I actually really love astrology.
Yeah.
So for me, the astrology piece of it and the gene keys are really where I think I really shift my focus into that more than anything else. Yeah.
For me, I'm a generator alchemist. And because of my profile numbers, 1 and 3, I have to be really careful about the shiny object that I'm going to chase after because, first it was like the human design stuff. And then as I started to dig deeper into it, I came across quantum, and quantum was just like so amazing in the way we word things and really taking words so seriously and why they matter. And that just took me down a spiral. And I ended up spending a whole year really deep diving into it. And it that's when I realized, okay, so I need to be very strategic with what I am going to be chasing after. So when I tried to do a lot of the gene key stuff, I was like, I can't. This needs to wait. And then I'm looking deeper into the astrology, and I'm like, I can't right now. This really needs to wait. And
Yeah.
so, 2024, the theme for the year was resilience. And
Mm.
so before that, once I was like setting my goals for the year, I thought, I am not taking any classes. I'm just really going to start to put a lot of things into practice. And that's how I started the year. And it worked out really well because I did need some time to embody the work.
Yeah. I got the download for me this year was structure. So
Mhm.
I think there's a Saturn transit that's been affecting us all and saying you need to embody, you need to put these things into practice and put them in place and for sure.
Well,
But
and I'm
you're
and I'm exiting my Chiron return, so I'm still in the
nice.
exiting space. And so there's,
Yeah.
these past 4 years have been a big kicker, a big butt kicker in so many different ways. So there's been a lot of different growth happening. So yes,
Yeah.
I feel like yes, I can sit chill for just a moment.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing that I like that you do though is all the nervous system work you do. Because see, like my people are the shiny object syndrome people, and that means, we just have like this nervous system that is prone, I'll say, to being easily, you know, I call it a trigger happy amygdala or, like whatever. So your work is so valuable. That's why I'd hope you talk a little bit about the breath work that you do and the nervous system regulation that you provide with, in the work that you do, that your programs and stuff. Just tell me a little bit about what I've done a breathwork class of yours before, but I
Yeah.
got to imagine that they're all unique and different because that one seemed very unique and different. So what do you
They're
do?
all it's always a different experience, because I do believe that you walk in and something's going on, whether it's on a conscious or unconscious basis, and you're just walking in and there's things that you want to shed. And I don't like setting intentions for breath work. So what I do is I pass out what I call truth bombs. And so people like pull their little cards out, and these truth bombs always come back and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is something that I was thinking about, or you can relate to, or it resonates somehow. Uh, it just makes so much sense. The first time I did a breath work circle, I woke myself up from it and I was just like, this must be what it's like to be on LSD. Because I mean, I saw colors, I saw sacred geometry. It was just so amazing to not just get out of my body, but get out of my head. My brain's always
Yes.
like, so when
Well, that's
I,
the master nervous system, your brain.
and as I started doing the work more and more, diving into it, I thought this is really what I needed when I was raising a kid, when I was in my corporate job. This is exactly what I needed to be able
Right.
to decompress, to be able to self-care, that radical self-care that everybody talks about. And once I started diving into this, it really became clear that this was nervous system work, even though nobody tells you it is. And so I make it very clear that we are working with the nervous system. I've had a chance to work with a lot of different people in collaborations, and it's kind of interesting that they don't realize that it's nervous system work, even though they do similar work, or something that kind of goes hand in
Or do they
hand.
think it's like all the woo-woo stuff? Do they go into, yeah, right. So
They
they'll
don't
they'll
go into the science of it. They stay into the
Mhm.
woo, and partly that's okay, but then partly it's irresponsible because we have to bring it back to the 3D, to what we're dealing with. And so at some
Right.
point, I feel like it's some wild and crazy expensive hobby when you're not connecting the dots and you don't really understand how it affects real people in real time.
No, I totally get that. I also think though you aren't even helping yourself if you don't realize that the way I see it is like this body, right? This part of me is just part of the big team of my soul. And like I was handed the baton to do the embodiment part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the ground crew. I'm
Right.
like, I'm supposed to do this 3D experience. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to know about your biology and chemistry as a component of reality creation. That is literally what it is. And it's not just all beliefs and thoughts and um, brain waves, you know, that's a part of it for sure, but there's
Right.
just more. Yeah.
And that's
And so
where
you're
the
really
that's
getting
where
into this.
and that's where everything started to come through for me, through the years. It's been like, it is a holistic perspective. It's mind, it's body, and it's soul. And so when I work with people,
Yeah.
they'll say, I'm feeling really depressed. I'm very sluggish. And so my first question is, so tell me what your morning routine is. What do you have for breakfast?
Yeah, I asked that question too. I'm like, what'd you eat today?
Yeah, like foundation. Like let's get to the foundation part of it because we're trying to fix things up here, but really it's in the belly, right? It's what's going on in the belly. What you
See, you're
feed
the 1-3. You're the one, that's your one.
and the
Yeah.
foundation. And so I always do this analogy because people really start to get it. I'm like, it's like you get in your car and you start your car and then you're wondering why you're not going anywhere and it's because you have no gas. There you go. Can't get any more foundational than that, right? So
Yeah.
it affects everything. And because of that, just inner wisdom that came through, once I did this breath circle and started getting into it, I realized that it's going to take a lot more for me. And in the US, breath work is not it's not something that is, what do they call it there? It's not a certified
It's not
piece that
covered by insurance.
definitely not covered by insurance. There's no governing like bylaws or anything that we have to stick through.
Right. Yeah.
Now in the UK, it is. So they have,
Really?
yeah, they have like a whole school. Like you have to practice 200 hours of this, but they really go deep into teaching all of these amazing modules that I've had to teach, that I've had to learn separately and put those pieces together. So I basically created my own master's degree, right? Um,
Yes.
through understanding all of this. And I've taken really deep dives. So I started going through uh, the Heart Math Institute, which is up in Northern California.
Yes.
They've been around for over 25 years, and all of they've been studying is about the heart. And what they came up with is we have a heart brain. And so when people, my favorite question to always ask is, what is the number one job of the brain? And people will say, to make decisions, to think about ideas. And I'm like, no, it's to keep you safe. And so when you're making the big decision in your life, are you wearing your trauma goggles and then your brain's making that safe decision for you? Or are you really following what your heart is trying to get you to go? I look at the heart
Yeah.
like, we have two different crystals. We have the rose quartz, that's the I love you,
Yeah.
and then we have kunzite, which is also this beautiful pink kunzite, depends on the color. This is the watermelon one. And that one is like the I love you, go, right? I love you, go. And I
Yeah.
and that's what the heart is for me, is like I love you, go do that.
Go
Just
and do. I always say, go and do. Go and
jump,
do.
jump, and
I
so
love that.
that connection with the heart and the heart brain coherence is has just been amazing in my own experience, in my own work, my own inner work. And again, it goes back to that profile, that 1-3 profile. It's like, ooh, let me research, and then ooh, let me go down that rabbit hole. And that has been the biggest savior for me in my personal life, with my family, with the connection, with the relationships with
Yeah.
my with my mom, with my siblings, where before they would trigger me and I'd get so upset because I don't like to lose. And so when I'd get triggered, I'd be like, oh, they won. But I'll be
I
back.
remember when I first met you, there was plenty of interesting interactions about your mom, and I was like, okay. Yeah.
Right. And so I would always go, I'll be back. I'll be back. I've got to go down that rabbit hole. And so just doing a lot of different things. Like one of my favorite classes that I took was the nonviolent communication.
Mm. Mhm.
That was like mind blowing because they're like, you just rolled your eyes. That's violent communication.
That's a microaggression. I can't allow it.
I was like, oh man. So then I have to be very neutral. So it was a really helpful piece. And then as you start to go through everything, like I said, there are some really good advanced techniques with heart math that are mind blowing. And I actually created a meditation for it on my YouTube page. It's the only meditation on there right now, but
Share the channel. What is it? Tell us,
it
because
is
some
it
people
is
are driving and
oh,
they're not reading.
yes,
Tell us
sorry.
what it is.
That's out. It is the same. It's Akary mind body soul. UHKARE mind body soul. And I decided on this technique. It's called the heart lock-in technique. And it's an
Hmm.
advanced technique, but it is the number one technique to shift your baseline. Like if you're continuously falling into that loop, we were talking about loops earlier. When you start to fall into a loop and you want to disrupt it,
Yeah.
this is the technique you can go to. And granted, it's a meditation, so I made it, 7 minutes long because it's just yummy that way with music and everything. But it's meant to be like quick, like you're in there, you shift and you go, and you think, how is this going to work? And I always say, you put one hand out, you put the other one, and you connect, and you hit and you hit and you hit, and you realize it's repetition, right? Repetition is
Right.
what's going to get through to our brain. And using this technique is going to be really amazing.
Everybody has to go check that out. And it actually sounds like there's a connection call that could be made using. I'm like,
Yeah, what should
hello, biohacking. I'm like, that word is fabulous. People love it, and people would love to connect with you about that. I
yeah.
love it. I had a guest on like a year ago. We were doing this, I would call it a debate, which is more important, your heart or your brain.
Mm.
And he was taking the argument of the brain, and I was taking the argument of the heart. And I was like, I win because basically at the end of the day, without the heart, you're dead. Without the brain, you're just brain dead.
Right, right. Fundamental,
I
fundamental. I
was like
agree.
at the root of it all, and I threw that in at the end, and he was like, what am I going to say? I'm like, I won.
Yep, yep.
But it
Pay
was
up.
all these reasons that you're explaining. And yes, word choice matters, huge and everything. But the guidance we get, the brain of the heart is people don't know that.
Yeah.
People still don't know that. So that's part of like, are you informing us this? Are you telling us all about this? I mean,
It is it
okay.
is it is definitely one of the big things that we are unaware of how powerful the heart is. As a matter of fact, the heart gives off an electromagnetic field that goes three to
Yeah.
5 feet outside of your body.
Hmm.
And that's so powerful because people will say when someone negative walks in, they just shut the whole room down. And that's not true, right? When you have a strong, healthy nervous system, you're in your bubble. Like nobody's going to come and bust my bubble.
No, but you can feel them come in. You can feel the heaviness
Oh, yeah.
walk in, and
Well, for
you
sure.
know,
And that's the biggest power of the heart is that if I am sitting here and someone walks to the door behind me, my brain isn't picking up on it. It's the electromagnetic field of my heart.
yeah,
And it's interesting. I always say, like, I don't even get a chance to have a trailer of a person. They just get near and the energy is like you, right? Like I'm already judging it by the energy that I'm feeling.
yeah. You're
That's
like,
when
oh, I
human
feel
design,
some ick.
right. And that's when human design comes in, right? Because some of us have electromagnetic fields or channels that connect and it's like, oh, I love this person. And then there's some that just don't jive and so we don't connect and it's not personal, it's energy.
No, it's energy, and I think it's intentional by design, so that it helps us guide us through the experience we want to have. Like that we've decided on some level that whether our soul or oversoul, however you want I can't say, but I do know it does seem intentional by design for that the whole field, because of the whole everybody, we are all working in tandem and working together. But that means some of us need to stay apart so that we can help do this part over here and other people do this thing over here. We're not all meant for everybody.
No, and
you know?
that's the other piece with the incarnation cross. You know, you have the left angle, you have the right angle, and then you have the juxtaposition. And so that to me translates a lot when I'm looking at them and I'm analyzing them because you know, like the same with the circuitry, right? I know that we don't
You know
even get
what?
pieces
Yeah,
at
you know what I say about the incarnation cross? Now, you're gonna laugh. I know you're gonna laugh at me, okay? It's okay to laugh at me. But I always look at the left angle crosses as people who came, they're like, here, taking one for the team.
mm,
You know what I'm
that's
saying? Because it's not their mission that's the priority as much as they're here to help other
right.
people's missions.
Right. And then the
Uh,
conundrum though, but see that's where we start getting into all of these nuances because the conundrum is that yeah, that left angle can actually be here to do the collective work. But then if that person has a lot of individual circuitry, they're torn between doing their work and doing the so and the cross of incarnation is so powerful because it's you know it's literally made out of your sun and your earth, which is what influences the most. So it's just the conundrums, it's where you're getting pulled. And it's so important because then you can actually have both exist at the same time. Like I can really be into myself, but then I can also provide and be of service. So
yes,
and and
yes.
and that to me is where the power really lies because I think we're so conditioned in so many ways, right? By gender, right? That little box of gender, the little box of religion.
Yeah.
The one that drives me crazy now is the diagnosis, the box of diagnosis. Oh, I can't because you know I have you know whatever I and people put themselves there. I
I
can't
have
to
element OP.
right. I can't today. I didn't get enough sleep. Well, then what are you doing? Go to bed. You know, like get over it. So all of
Yeah.
these diagnoses. So all the conditioning that is happening really does limit us. And I think I was like trying to think of the conditioning that I see, and I think I came up with like 20 things. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Uh, we make all of these excuses because we don't know any better. Our awareness it keeps us back. It keeps us
Well, it
small.
certainly feels real. I will honor the fact that it feels real for you, but until you do, that's why my most powerful tool, honestly, is probably the reframe. I mean, I naturally reframe things now without even trying. Because when I was younger, it was the only way I could cope. It was
Right.
like, I have to look at this a different way. And I just, even to make up a story that was different so that I could just want to survive another day. And now it really helps me with clients because I'm like, yeah, but you're acting as if the premise is this. What if the premise is this? And they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. I don't know. And it's like, oh, good. There's something you don't know. Now maybe we can have a discussion because when you're looking through your I know glasses, you know, you're going to
Yeah.
believe everything you think. And you
Yeah.
cannot believe everything you think. That's not helpful. It's not the
Well,
most helpful all the time. I mean,
no.
it certainly guides us, but your heart will do a better job, I think.
And all the different parts of us that show up, right? And if it's that wounded little child that shows up, it I always tell my clients, how old is the person driving the bus? And why are they driving?
Why are they driving? You need to strap them in the front seat behind you, and you drive the bus. Yeah, that's cute. I
Right.
like that.
So
Oh,
it's yeah, nervous system to me is precious. And you know,
yeah.
the way I approach my practice is very unique. It comes from a lot of you know, my personal experience with going to therapy and walking in feeling pretty crappy and then leaving pretty crappy. And I thought that that's just not right. Like it, and we have this belief that if I don't leave there feeling crappy, then I didn't do the work.
Oh gosh, yeah,
And
that's the
so,
fence.
or I'm ugly crying, and they go, "Oh, your 50 minutes are
Yeah,
up.
time's up.
You
Here's a
gotta go."
tissue.
Yes.
Bye. Oh, leave the check at the secretary of the desk.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you for coming. I'll see you in 2 weeks. So, all
oh,
created a lot of thought process as I was creating my practice and the things that I value and the things that I want and how I want people to walk in and to leave feeling complete.
Yeah.
completion. So that was really my big piece was having you feel completion.
This just brings me up that, like, you're mentioning the thing that you're offering, and I want you to offer this new thing that you have.
This new thing. Tell me
Yeah.
about this new shiny
It's
thing.
the new shiny thing is $111, which is a steal for
Oh,
what it
my
is.
report. Yeah. So this is a 60 plus page report about you.
That was
All
like, have to
yeah, it's
get one
got
of those. Yes.
all of these little nuggets about who you are. And I am attaching with it a 20-minute call of what I see is the most important piece because nobody likes, I mean, nobody wants to sit there and read 60 pages of anything. Or if you do sit there and there
I,
are people that
I
there are
might.
people that do. I trust me. Someone's like, I
Yeah.
can't book a reading with you until I go through and read because I'm gonna have questions. I need to digest it. Of course, I love that because then we can have a conversation. If we do an intro to human design and you've never talked about it before, this is all new vocabulary. So
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
can I give you something to munch on and to digest? And so this is like perfect. So it comes with a 20-minute call, and I just go through the stuff that's really, really important for you to start
So if you
playing.
don't read all of it, you at least read the stuff you're going to tell me to read. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, and just experiment with it, right? I mean, the first thing is read it or peruse through it or digest it a little bit, and then we can meet for 20 minutes. And if this feels like you want to keep learning more, I just feel like human design is such a big gift. And people go and get readings, and then what do you do with this?
Right.
What do I do with this? And so that was like
Right.
my first thing was when I had a reading, I was like, oh my God, how is it possible that you know me better than me?
Hmm. I
Like,
get that all the time. They're like, how'd you know that? I'm like, it's in
how
your
do you
charts.
know? I know. People now tell me, get out of my head. Like, why are you in my head? And so once you start to do this beautiful reading, it's like, what are you going to do with all of this information? How are you going to be holding yourself accountable? How are you going to be able to embody this amazing work so that it works for you? It's like it's a great
Right.
investment. It's great to learn about yourself, but then
It's a
what?
steal. Yeah, no, it's a steal. So I'm going to drop the link below
Okay.
that you're going to, give me to put down below. And I also think it would make a really fabulous holiday gift, birthday gift, New Year's present, someone you love, because that's what I'm going to do. When you were talking about, I was like, oh, I know who I'm buying one for. Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about it is that it's so unique and it's so personalized. Like if I were to, uh, get a gift that is all about me, I would be like
Yeah.
so delighted about it because it's something that I don't know. And what if the thing that I don't know is what I've been waiting for?
No, if the call is what's making the real difference here, though, because, like people can get reports and these things, but like, no, if you're actually helping like that process, that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and after we go through things, if someone really gets like super curious about all of the different pieces to it because I call it peeling many layers of many onions.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So
Then they
it's
go through, they can go on. I know that your website's been updated. You've got things more up, more. There's just more. But I want you to come on and share your stuff because I think, especially the holidays right now, people are like getting stressed and irritable. They got family coming in from out of town or they're going out of town, or they're dealing with family that maybe they're not feeling the family feelings right now, but they want to, and they are stressed. They're, are anxious about how it's going to go. I actually experienced that for myself, and it was like, oh my gosh, like from some, self-care techniques, right? Like it makes a huge difference. But your work is so valuable. So I know I had you on before. It's been too long. So thank you for coming back.
well, thank you for having me. It's always fun to chat and connect and to really understand what it is that we each uniquely do that creates magic and and
Yes.
and that energy, right? That energy of attraction. It always works so well when you can hear yourself speak and say, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I do that.
I know. I love it. I love it so much. Okay. So Everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please go check out Akari, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye.